Lamelo Ball, the youngest of LeVar's big ballers, drafted in 2020, the young star would go on to win the Rookie of the Year award, averaging 15, 6, and 6. But over the recent years, Melo has suffered injuries, leaving him to play 36 and 22 games in his past 2 seasons. Now, as this 2024 season has gone so far, in 17 games, Lamelo is averaging 31 points per game, which is second in the league behind Giannis, shooting 35% from 3 and 44% from the field. And Melo has had a 44-point and 50-point game the past 2 games, despite both being losses. So, with the fiery start to the season for Lamelo, it's time to talk about his place in the league amongst the best guards. But before we hop into the discussion, make sure to hit that subscribe button and help us as we are on the way to 10K subs. Turn those notifications on for more content and comment where Melo ranks for you as far as point guards in the league. Mal, after Lamelo starts this season, where would you rank him as far as top guards in the league, and has his play impressed you?
He's one of the top guards in the league. I'll probably say he's one of the top 5 guards in the league. It's one thing I want to preface, it's very fucking early in the season, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, it's amazing that he's averaging 31 points a game, but let's pump the brakes a tad bit. So I'll say that I'm somewhat impressed. I did not expect for him to average 30. But the team is 6-12 on the season, and we just have to acknowledge that. I think that we need to get out of the realm of just saying, oh man, this guy's putting up a lot of points, but what is his impact on winning? So I will say that the Hornets is looking like a shit franchise. I will acknowledge that they're a bad franchise, but they do have some pieces there. They're still going through a transitional phase of trying to see what they have. I think what's really a big problem with this Lamelo Ball situation is somebody that I never thought I would acknowledge on this platform, but Chandler Parsons, he made this comment. I want to see Lamelo do this on a bigger stage. I want to see him do it on a relevant team. I want to see him on a big market. We have to stop this whole, if a player's team is not performing well, saying that we want them to be on a bigger market team if we're really trying to grow the game. Charlotte franchise has been a franchise for a long time. They've never won a championship. We have to stop. If we look at other leagues have small market teams that win championships. We go to the NFL and we look at Kansas City. It's not a big market, but they built a dynasty over there. And when we talk about problems, ongoing issues with this NBA, a lot of it has to do with oversaturation with these big markets. And if a guy isn't, having playoff success or competing for a championship, quote unquote, then we got to say, oh man, everybody, because the NBA is basically a participation league. Everybody needs to be a champion. When I've said this, when we had a conversation about Anthony Edwards, everybody can't be a winner. You can't be a champion. And I kind of look at LaMelo Ball. He's very talented, but as of now, until he's shown me that he can impact winning, I got to throw him into one of those, Bradley Beal situation when he was on the Wizards putting up 30 a game. Relatively the same thing. Yes, you're putting up 30 a game, but you're doing it on a team that's not winning. It's not translating to victories. Now, is that all on him? Of course not. But they need to be a little bit more competitive, guys. They're 6-12 on the season. Can you at least compete to be 500? Like, can you compete to be 9-9? I need to see a little bit more before we're going to say, oh man, I want to see this guy on a team, that has a bigger stake. We got to stop. We have to stop. And this is, tying with the Adam Silver and the poor promotion with the NBA. Small market teams make your league. It's not the big market teams. Every league is going to have a team in LA, a team in New York, a team in Miami. But if those are the only teams that's winning, what's going to make the average fan want to watch and want to root for their hometown team? If they don't feel like, oh, my superstar player, when the league is about superstars, he's not going to want to be here long term unless we win right away. And we all know that's not how things work. In order to have a cohesive league, and Adam Silver has talked about expanding, we need for these small market teams to be successful. Because what's the point in getting a new team in Las Vegas and getting a new team in Seattle or whatever they're going to do if our small market teams are always going to be unsuccessful? At that point, we need to have less teams. Because if the focus is not going to be on the small market teams, if a team like Charlotte doesn't feel like they can compete, they almost just sell the franchise. And it wouldn't just be Charlotte that would be in that position. I may look at a team like the Detroit Pistons, even though they have won historically, they're not going to be winning anytime soon. Maybe a Utah Jazz, Memphis Grizz. Like, there are other franchises that don't feel like they have a shot because if their best player, if they're not winning championships, or if the best player doesn't have another superstar or all-star caliber player supporting them, then the NBA fans are going to say, oh, that guy needs to leave. He needs to go team up with Bron or Steph, or go team up, go to New York or go to Miami. That's not good for the game. But all that to say, Lamelo Ball, he's a great talent. I'm not really moved with the stats. I think it's cool. But the question I want to ask the guys is, Lamelo Ball, he's playing really good basketball. We know that Lonzo is back. Can we get that Lamelo, Lonzo collab? Can we get that collab? LiAngelo Ball said, he trying to play with his brothers again. Is that doable? Not trolling.
Yeah, Lamelo Ball has been having a great start to the season. I will have to say, he's really impressed me. I thought this dude coming into this season was not necessarily a shot chucker, but Lamelo hasn't really been known for his efficiency, and I think he's tuned that in now. I'm not saying 44% and 35.6% from three is that good, but it's still really good for like what this team needs, and this team does need scoring. I will say this, when people harp on the, can he get it done, like as far as a team record? Guys, these guys have Grant Williams, Todd Gibson, and I can't even name the other players as their bigs. Like, can we honestly look at this? The only positive player I see on this roster is Brandon Miller. I'm liking Brandon Miller's game. He kind of does seem like a Paul George to me style, which is not crazy to say that with Paul George's decline in play in the last couple of years, but this is not really a good roster. So for, the majority of the mainstream crowd to just be saying he's, shot chucking, putting up just garbage time numbers on a team that's, not going to be competitive. As Mal said, the record is 6-12. What do you want him to do? Do you want him to score, 16, 18 points, have 8 assists? So I don't really understand that perspective from it. The brother's playing well. And another thing I harked on is his style of play. It's very appealing to watch. I ain't gonna lie. Lamelo Ball plays like that one kid that goes to the gym and just has his AirPods in, and he's just hooping with his backpack on. That's how he plays like. So you're seeing a lot of just nonchalant stuff, and it does look appealing to watch, the pickup style basketball. But I kind of like him, get a bit more serious. But that's his game, though. That's his game. So I will say I have liked the way he's been playing this year. But overall, I kind of want this team just to get better all around. Like I said, Brandon Miller's the only spot that I like. I also do like Trey Mann, with his copied Allen Iverson drip. Even though, the drip is, I ain't gonna lie, I do rock with the baggy clothes. Baggy clothes are tough. But it's so obvious he's trying to rip off AI. Man, geez. But overall, he's had a great start to the season. I think he's been a top 2 point guard in the league. But Luka Doncic's decline in play and Steph Curry not having the amount of volume that, he used to have back in the day. I honestly think SGA has been the only player that's been better than him this year at the point guard position. I look at the trajectory of him and Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese is kind of falling off this season. I'm saying this after he had a game where he scored 30 points and had multiple threes. But, I don't want LaMelo to get, caught in this bubble where he has a great year and then just goes back down. Or like Darius Garland, where you're kind of approaching the elite level, but you can't get there. I think LaMelo has all the talent in the world. I thought he was the most talented out of all the Ball brothers. And I know Mal brought up LiAngelo Ball. That's never going to happen. He can keep on dreaming about it. He can keep on thinking about it. He can keep on waking up to that. It's not going to happen. I'd rather see Bronny James in the NBA jersey than LiAngelo Ball. And that's saying a lot because Bronny James is not an NBA player. LiAngelo, never say anything like that again. Please, just don't.
Can the man have dreams? Can he have dreams and aspirations?
Oh, he can be dreaming, but, they're not going to come into fruition. So that's all I have to say.
I will say this before Jay chimes in. CJ, I know you asked me what do I want LaMelo to do. I want them to win more games. I know that the team is not good. Like Todd Gibson, I didn't even know he was in the NBA anymore. I know the team is not good, but we're sitting here making a video about a guy that he's putting up a bunch of stats, but they're 6-12 on the season. If the playoffs started today, it wouldn't even be in the play-in tournament. So my thing is, what do we value? Do we just value stats? Because like I said, Bradley Beal was doing the same shit in Washington, D.C. Putting up 30 points a game. LaMelo was doing similar things. So, and we're not even 20 games into the season. We're not even 20 games into the season and we're talking about, oh man, that man's averaging 31. Meanwhile, I see this, we're about to talk about Luka Doncic and his decline in play. He's declined in play, but he's still averaging 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Last year, he averaged 34 a game. That's over 82 game season. So, I just want us to have that type of perspective that yes, this is good for LaMelo Ball because he has never done it before, but also, and this is just my thought process, when I see a team that's bad and they are bad, the points got to come from somewhere, guys. They got to come from somewhere. And he's been a little bit more efficient, but I'm looking at these efficiency splits. And CJ, I don't know if you have some statistics about the advanced analytics, but 44% field goal percentage and 35% from three is okay. Is nothing to write home about at all. So when you're the best player on that team and you are talented and you don't have anybody else, yeah, the shots are going to get jacked. And if you're a good player, then yeah, you should average a lot of points. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's cool, but what is the end goal? And Jay, I'll ask you, like, what is the end goal? Like, what do we see for the future of Lamelo Ball? Are we just basically saying that he's gonna have to leave?
That's the future. The future is they give him more help, dude. Like, can you honestly?
Sustainable?
I think they can do it.
Cool.
Honestly, any franchise should be able to give their young stars help, especially if you got a guy who can be your franchise guy, which I think Lamelo Ball has talent to be that guy. And like I said, I think Brandon Miller could be a sustainable wing option on a really good team. I think Brandon Miller is a really good talent. You just gotta get the guy more help. And I know it's easy to say that because this organization has been known to be pretty bad, especially with Michael Jordan at the helm. One of the greatest player of all time, and he can't even make this franchise better. But I'm just looking at it from this perspective. Lamelo Ball, in the scenario he is right now, I pray for his help like most, because him and his brothers are very fragile. We know this. Melo Ball has been knick-knacked with a lot of injuries the last couple seasons. So above all else, I think the main thing he's gotten better at, and I know it's still a small sample size, is the availability. He's playing a lot of games. So hopefully he's able to get around that 60 to 70 point. He gets like more experience being out there. But like you said, he does have a big green light. I can't lie. I think he had 35 points this game, and he shot the ball like 35 times, and he shot it really bad. He was like 11 to 35. But they almost won the game. Surprisingly not. And he had a game where he had I think he had 40 or something, and Brandon Miller had like 20, and the rest of the roster had like 20 points. Like, how am I supposed to take that seriously? You feel me? Like, what you like, dog? This is like you playing in 2K and you're passing the ball to the CPU, and they can't hit a shot. You feel me? Like, you just gonna have to ball hog. You feel me? It's gonna have to be like 1998, Michael Jordan in the finals. You're just ball hogging for the most part because nobody else can make the shot besides Tony Kukoc. Like, that's pretty much how it is. So I'm Melo, man. Keep on taking that green light, man. I just hope he just plays, a lot of games this year.
I will say this though. If Brandon Miller, if he can become Paul George, according to him, they should win championships because that will make him the GOAT.
Yeah, man. Lamelo Ball, so far he has looked like a top 5 guard in this league to me. And now, this is with a Steph Curry who hasn't really, been hooping like Steph Curry. Now, this is a little sidetrack, but I will say that is mainly due to the minutes that his horrible coach is giving him, Steve Kerr. And, we got Luka, who's been out for a while. We have John Morant, who is sadly starting to get injury prone. So he's been looking like a top 5 guard in this league so far. But going back off of Mal's comment about Chandler Parsons. First of all, if I'm Lamelo Ball, I'm not taking it seriously because this is a dude who robbed the Grizzlies of money because, he had those role player like seasons in Dallas, and then he just dipped. He got his bag and it was wraps from there and never produced anything else. So I wouldn't take what he said seriously. And Lamelo Ball were to be efficient and lower his points, you take that away, then the games that they won, they probably wouldn't have won. And the games that they lost, they'd probably be all blowouts. So somebody's got to shoot the ball. As far as the whole Lamelo Ball situation, I liked how Nick Young had put it into perspective. He was kind of saying he's just getting the buckets that they need because somebody's got to score them, but they're not leading the wins. So they're buckets, but they're not leading wins. Same as, Anthony Simons out in Portland. He's basically, I guess, the face of that franchise, and he's out there hooping, but he's not leading the wins. Now, this is mainly due to the lack of a roster around him. The support is horrible. He's got Brandon Miller, who is, coming off his sophomore year. He's doing really good. We got Miles Bridges. He's averaging about 16 points a game, but, after you look down that list, it's like a bunch of polar bears. Like, we got Grant Williams, who recently just tore his ACL off a flop. We got Cody Martin, Seth Curry, Josh Green, who did nothing for the Mavs last year. Taj Gibson, who I really didn't know was still in the league. I don't even know why he is still in the league. What are we doing?
Any veteran presence, veteran leadership.
As far as the future of this team, I think they should take a, I guess, OKC approach as far as building a young core around him. No, LaMelo doesn't need to leave, because why would you leave? First of all, he's already solidified that he's the face of that franchise.
My brother, I can tell you why people want him to leave. They want him to leave because he's playing in Charlotte and they're not winning. So that there's, and I agree with everything you're saying, but I think that what's hurting the Hornets is the fact that they've been incompetent as a franchise. So people can say he needs to leave because they're not that good. When I think that if he was in Los Angeles, people wouldn't be saying that he should leave. It's only because he's in Charlotte. They don't want him to be in small market. Because think about this. If John Morant, let's say the Grizzlies were losing and like he was healthy, they would tell him to leave.
I agree.
Can't say anything because they're winning.
Yeah. With Charlotte being such a small market, it makes sense. And, Adam Silver, we all know this. He doesn't really promote his young talents. So that's going to halt him even more. This organization, what they need to do is get a great GM, kind of how the GM is out there in OKC that can build pieces around them, because that's really what is only going to help the Hornets. And if I'm being honest, they should honestly tank for a lottery pick this year, because nothing's going good for them. So what's the point? They honestly should tank, because if they don't, I'm not gonna lie, we might see OKC get Cooper Flag. And let's be honest here, OKC don't need any more young stars. They GM out there is just playing chess with these folks, and he's just getting all these young talents with all these first round picks. So that's really the only thing that's going good for the Hornets, because there's no depth on this team. There's just a bunch of veterans, and there's no points coming anywhere except for Lamelo Ball. So the Bradley Beal comparison was really good, because Bradley Beal, he won the scoring title, averaging 30 a game, but it wasn't leading the wins. But then when Westbrook came, you got a guy like that. That's when they actually started to make it to the playoffs. So if you got LaMelo Ball, we got Brandon Miller continuously rising, and we probably give LaMelo a big, because we know LaMelo can facilitate. So we give him, a big or something, have a big three, then maybe something can go good for this team and they can hopefully sneak into the playoffs. But it's definitely going to take some time for this Charlotte team to actually, go somewhere. This team has been, poverty for some time, for quite a while, even when they had, the GOAT as their owner. I don't think there's anything wrong with what LaMelo Ball is doing. The only thing I do find hilarious is that he's out here playing like he did in high school. He's just playing, it's just him. He's the best out there. And he's got all these guys who really ain't going to make no shots around him. It kind of reminds me of, when he was dropping 92 in high school. LaMelo Ball, he's doing his thing. I think he'll probably continue to average about 30 a game, because, there's nothing else going for this team. I don't really see them. They might sneak in with a play-in game, maybe. That's just because the East they're back to being poor.
I would say it's like Jalen said, the stats are fine, they're great, but perfect scenario for you guys, if you have a player, I don't care who he is, you have a player that's averaging 40 points a game, and 20 games into the season, their team is 0-20. Are we talking about his team and his performance? No, we are not. In basketball, in sports, we care and value winning. Winning cures all. So for Chandler Parsons to say you want to see him on a big stage or what are you talking about? Because if the Charlotte Hornets were winning and LaMelo Ball is averaging 30, or even if he's averaging 25, we would talk about him, because he's a magnanimous player. He has a flashy play style. He has personality, charisma. Niggas would probably be putting him in face of the league combos. So it's not about you going to a quote unquote relevant team. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you talking about a team, a big market team, or a team that wins? All the Charlotte Hornets need to do is build around him correctly if they're competent. Now, we'll say if he's continuing to put up these godly numbers and they just can't support him and they continue to not give him the talent that he needs, I feel you. If you gotta leave, you gotta do that. But it's too early in his career for him to say, we need to see him on a bigger market now. Is this guy even 25? So I think we just need to pump the brakes, man. And yes, what he's doing is cool, it's great, but we value winning. Well, at least I value winning. So I need him to translate that shit as much as possible to some victories. Yeah, flashy play style is cool, think Magic, fine. But you need to win more, sir. And I don't want niggas to think that his performance has been perfect. He hasn't been perfect. So there are some things that he can do. Maybe compromise on the scoring, get some of those other guys involved, make them a little bit better. Why you looking like that?
Those niggas can't fucking score. What the fuck are you talking about?
They really can't. Like it's kind of bad.
So Lamelo Ball, he's playing perfect ball. I'm just asking.
I'm not saying that, but like, dog, these folks, like, come on, bro. Like,
So
like,
what-
his team is so limited right now.
Is there anything? Is there
like, he
anything
can be more
he can
efficient?
do to
Like, I
help him
agree
win
with
a little
that,
more?
but dog, come on, man.
I mean, all he can do is like give them. I mean, he can give them open looks, but they the ones they're gonna have to knock down the shot. If they can't knock down the shot, then I don't know what else he can do. Because you look at the list on this roster: Lamelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Trey Mann. That's it. That's all you can name. That's like relevant people on that team.
Well, I'm
Like,
not gonna
after
lie. Okay, well, let's be fair. Because you mentioned some guys that are quality players that have had success on other teams when they've been surrounded with star players. Like you mentioned, like Josh Green. Like he didn't play well in the finals, but made a few big shots. Guys like that are at the end of your bench. You just need them to make a few shots because typically your great players are going to carry you there. I really think that what's missing with this team is that Brandon Miller needs to take another step if he's going to be my number 2, and they probably need one more quality piece. But you don't need a whole lot. Like look at that Mavericks team that went to the finals. I mean, you got Luka and Kyrie, but outside of them, it's not a whole lot to work with there, if we're being honest. So they have quality pieces. They just have to have elevation, and also coaching has to play a little bit part of that because it's a young team. See, when you don't have an experienced team, coaching has to help it. So maybe you don't have the right coach. That's going to be tough because Charlotte is not a sexy organization to go to if you're a head coach or a GM. And that's where they're struggling. That's why I feel like the league needs to support franchises like this a little bit more, do a better job promoting this product so that people will want to go there. Because if we're not getting visibility on LaMelo Ball or Paolo Banchero, these guys in these small markets, then they're not going to get what they need. Because we all know players are not going to go there. Star players are not going to go to these small market teams. But we need coaches, we need GMs, we need role players to want to go to these teams because of the talent. If the talent is not having visibility, then they're not going to be able to get those resources that we need. And then we're just going to have a bunch of players on the Lakers and on the Knicks and on the Celtics and on the Sixers. And that's not what we want to see. LaMelo Ball, as I said, is cool. Let's try to win a little bit more. Compromise on that style of play if possible.
Speaking of the coaching, right now they do have a rookie head coach. He was a part of the Boston team last year and in the Bucks when they won the championship. So they do got some type of championship-minded coach with him. And he kind of reminds you, like he kind of acts like Joe Mazzulla does.
Okay, so maybe we just got to give the team some grace a little bit.
Yeah, so I think it'll take some time, especially with a rookie head coach. Yeah. And yeah, one more thing, Lamelo Ball, buddy. At some point, you're gonna have to let them hoop dreams go, bro. Because let's be honest here. I know you all. I know if it was me, I want to play with my brother too. But buddy, it's time to let the hoop dreams go.
No disrespect, but can Lamelo Ball? Maybe he's not good at anything else. Maybe basketball, only thing he's good at.
He might become a rapper.
I can see that.